Good morning, good evening, whatever time of day it is for you. Welcome to this thing that I do called Thor's Entertainment. I am Thor, and today I'm continuing my playthrough of the story mode for Mortal Kombat 1. We will be picking up with Chapter 10 for the story mode, so we have covered quite a bit of ground so far. If you are interested in all the finer details of how we got to this point, I will go ahead and add a link to the playlist for the Mortal Kombat 1 playthrough in the corner of the screen now. But if you are not interested in seeing every little detail of how we got here, I will just go ahead and do a very quick summary of all the key points that are going to be important for this video. In a former timeline, the former champion of Mortal Kombat Liu Kang gained the powers of a fire god and a time titan. Now, back in that old timeline where Liu Kang was still mortal, it was damaged beyond repair. So Liu Kang elected to use his new powers to make a brand new timeline and try to make it better. So all the events that are happening in this video, those are all taking place in the new timeline. Now, one of the things that he wanted to change about this new timeline was the status of the threats from the old timeline. Those threats include Shang Tsung, Quan Chi, and Shao Kahn. Now, to keep them from becoming adversaries in this new timeline, Liu Kang gave them meaningless lives where they would never achieve the kind of powers they had back before when they were threats. Well, shockingly, they are now gaining powers just like they did before back when they were threats. So now the forces of Earthrealm have uncovered their villainous plot, which is to unleash a bunch of Soul Stealers on Earth. Now, the Soul Stealers kind of act as weapons of mass destruction, but they're also going to be used to revive an enchanted army for the villains. And making matters worse, the Outworld government, well, they're supporting this whole plan of attack. Now, in the previous episode, we got to highlight a few heroes, those being Scorpion, Smoke, and Sub-Zero. Now, those three had a legitimate shot at stopping the manufacturing of those weapons, and a good shot at taking down the villains. But then Sub-Zero changed teams at the last second, and that led to the heroes retreating and the weapons being activated anyway. So Liu Kang now faces two challenges: figuring out how the villains deviated from their new fates, and he also must figure out how to try and convince the Outworld government to call off the attack. Now the Time Guardian Gearus will open up the new chapter and explain exactly how the change of fate was possible. Then the rest of the video will be going over how the Outworld royalty responds to Liu Kang's pleas to stop the attack. Let's go ahead and get into it.
How did you achieve this, sorcerer? You arrived not a moment too soon, Gearus. What have you learned?
In scrutinizing Shang Tsung's first meeting with his benefactor, I made an important discovery. Her life essence, the very time crystals that make up her being, are not of this timeline.
Not of this timeline? How could someone from a previous timeline enter this one?
That cannot happen.
If that cannot happen, then what has happened, Gearus? There are no other timelines than those that have come before.
All evidence points to the presence of a second timeline, which exists concurrently with ours.
Two timelines, side by side, moving forward simultaneously?
Never in a billion lifetimes have I seen this. But that does not make the other timeline any less real. There can be no doubt that Shang Tsung's benefactor hails from it.
And who she is, why she's here, where she's from. All questions we need answered, which we can't while we are under attack. I will go to Sindel, convince her to withdraw from Earthrealm by showing her how history is being manipulated.
That will require revealing to her your prior role as Keeper of Time.
The situation gives me no choice. I will need your help, Gearus, to prove my claims to the Empress.
Alright, time to go ahead and apologize for trying to kidnap one of their citizens and most trusted advisors. Let's hope that goes well. Nothing against the constable, but this group feels way too small for defending a portal that an entire realm could invade from.
Return home, Lord Liu Kang. I am to let no one pass.
I must see Her Majesty. She must call off her attack on Earthrealm.
Her decision was unwise, but she no longer seeks my counsel, and I doubt she's interested in yours.
The Empress has been deceived. Shang Tsung and Generalshao have fomented this crisis as a means to steal her throne.
General Shao? I knew he was hiding his true intentions. But join Shang Tsung? I knew he couldn't be trusted. Were I still Umgadi, he would never have breathed the same air as the Empress. My palace sources told me he arrived out of nowhere, and immediately had the Empress's ear.
He gained her trust by treating Princess Mileena's condition. Tragically, she is afflicted with Tarkat disease.
Tarkat? The Empress must be beside herself. If Shang Tsung found a treatment, no wonder she embraced him.
I have shared this with no one. I trust that you, of all people, will keep this secret.
Of course. Were it made public, it would bring down the royal family.
Li Mei, Empress Sindel needs our help. Will you join me?
Emperor Jared's death, the pain it caused Empress Sindel, has always haunted me. I failed the royal family once. I won't do so again. Everything now makes sense. My Umgadi contacts had said the general soldiers had been encroaching. But still, I can't fathom it. General Shao committing treason?
It is the fruit of a poisonous seed planted by Shang Tsung. He played to the general's vanity, inflamed his prejudices to convince him that he alone could save our world.
He may be unstoppable. The Umgadi don't have numbers, and my constables aren't trained for war.
Know that I, too, will aid in the Empress's defense.
Driver, what is it? I may need that aid right now.
Return Liu Kang to the portal gate, Li Mei. He isn't welcome in Outworld.
I won't support the General, Reiko, nor his plot to usurp the throne.
Then you won't live to see the new regime.
They have us surrounded.
I am Earthrealm's protector, Li Mei. I am no stranger to combat.
Then let's get out there.
You should have joined us, not the constabulary. We could have used your Umgadi skills.
Enough! I've no use for a traitor's compliments.
Now, anyone watching this, correct me if you think I am wrong, but I don't think any other character in this story mode takes more shit from other people than Li Mei does. So fortunately for her, she is now the chapter character that we are controlling, and we get to release a bunch of that frustration out on all the people who've been treating her like crap throughout this entire story mode, and, well, based on the lore of the story, a lot longer than that. I call this my own little personal theory about Li Mei, but she agreed to help Liu Kang way too easily whenever he showed up. Like, he is a completely foreign entity from another realm. And while she is aware of him, she does not know him personally or anything like that. So it seems a little unlikely that she would just immediately take his word over all the other people in the Outworld court that she actually knows, even if they are complete dicks to her. But on that note, I think that's why she did it. I think she was tired of all the bullshit that she was having to take on a daily basis from everyone in the royal family. It's like, you know what? Worst case scenario, I'm wrong, Liu Kang is evil, and then he just kills everybody that's been treating me like shit. Best case scenario, I'm right, and then suddenly I save everybody and I look good again. Kind of a win-win situation for me. And quite frankly, I'm kind of curious what Li Mei wanted more, to be right or to be wrong, because there's definitely an argument for both.
You and your accomplices will face judgment, Reiko. We must leave. Reinforcements will be on the way.
Word of his arrival precedes you. Surrender if you wish to remain unharmed.
Let us pass, Tanya. The Empress and her family are in danger. He brings word that Shang Tsung and generalshao plot against them.
The General? Are you so easily taken in by lies? Once again, you prove incapable of protecting the royal house.
Out of Mortal Kombat's revolving door of roster characters, Li Mei has not really been in that many Mortal Kombat games. I think there's been 4 total, those being Mortal Kombat's Deadly Alliance, Deception, Armageddon, and now Mortal Kombat 1. Or at least she was only playable in those games. And her depiction in all of them is a bit inconsistent. Like in Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance, we had Quan Chi and Shang Tsung teaming up in order to revive a mystical army. Tell me if that sounds familiar. And Li Mei steps up to try and be basically the new Liu Kang of that game. Only her arcade ending is her winning the tournament and her soul just being put in one of the army members. So even when she succeeds, she failed. Fortunately, that was not a canonical ending, and she did survive the events of Deadly Alliance. And she proceeded on into the next game, Mortal Kombat Deception, where she has one of the most out-of-nowhere heel turns of all time. Because in that one, she betrays all the good guys she was working with in order to team up with the big bad boss of that game, Onaga the Dragon King. Why? I don't know. Kinda completely contradicted her motivation from the previous game, but fuck it, why not? And then honestly, I don't remember what her gimmick was in Mortal Kombat Armageddon. And now here, she is the dishonored Umgadi who failed the royal family, and is now the constable of the Outworld area of Sindel. So yeah, Li Mei has kind of been all over the place, and you know, I kind of like this version of her. It kind of keeps her from just being a Liu Kang clone and also is a random heel turn villain from one of the games again. So yeah, I'm okay with Constable Li Mei.
I'm sorry you made that necessary. Priestesses. You know who I am. Of my deeds when I was one of you. I may no longer be welcome. But in my heart, I am still Umgadi. I will always honor my vows. He's here to end a threat to the Empress. Stand against us, and she will lose the throne. Stand with us, and we will save the Empire.
Why didn't you kill me?
Because we mean you no harm.
And that you live will help prove that fact to the Empress.
How dare you, Li Mei? It's not enough that you let Jared be murdered. You'd let Liu Kang destroy the rest of my family?
My heart broke when your husband died. I lost not only my emperor, but you, my closest friend. I know you may never forgive me. But don't be blinded by anger and grief. We are here to help you.
No, daughter. Your condition.
Your faithlessness astounds, Li Mei. How can you side with Earthrealm against us?
I'm acting for your family's benefit, and for Outworld's. If you took a moment, you'd realize it.
So in Mortal Kombat 1, I have had a very good winning streak going on in this story mode. In fact, I do not believe I have lost a single round the entire time I have been fighting in this mode. And I think I had the same streak going on in Mortal Kombat Aftermath for Mortal Kombat 11, so it's been a little while since I lost. Now, in the base game for Mortal Kombat 11, I did occasionally lose a few. I definitely lost a few in Mortal Kombat 9 and 10. So it's not like I was winning the entire time I was playing through this franchise, but the last couple of games, or at least this game and the DLC of the last game, things have been going pretty smoothly. And it is about right here I almost fucked that up, because I have barely played as Li Mei at all. The last time I played as Li Mei was in the last time I played through the story mode, and that's when the game was first released. Outside of that, I practiced a little bit before this chapter, that way, well, I wouldn't look completely horrible using Li Mei. But even so, I about botch it pretty hard here against Kitana. But at the very end of that very first round, I do end up winning, but only just barely. Like I barely had over 100 health remaining. So realistically, Kitana only needed one really simple combo to put me away and give me my first round loss of the entire story mode. Now thankfully that did not happen. And as a very minor spoiler, this second round goes substantially better than the first. I end up winning a lot more comfortably, and the winning streak continues. And against one of the members of the royal family that I have no doubt has been talking some shit about her, so that's gotta feel pretty good.
You must be smarter, princess.
No, Mileena. I forbid it.
I must. If I won't risk my life for the throne, I'm not worthy of it.
I remember teaching you that, princess. You were but a girl.
That was long ago. Much has changed.
My loyalty to your family hasn't. Trust me now as you did then. Please, princess, just listen. We shouldn't fight. Forgive me, princess, but I won't allow you to hurt yourself or anyone else.
I'm still getting used to Li Mei talking about Mileena and Kitana whenever they were kids. Like, I'm not used to her being older than those two. Like in the original timeline I was talking about earlier, where Deadly Alliance, Deception, Armageddon happened, I believe Li Mei was implied to be substantially younger than Kitana and Mileena, so they completely flipped that one around. I mean, it's not a bad change or anything, but it is completely different than it used to be. But enough about that. In the previous fight I was talking about how that fight against Kitana that came down to me only having like 109 health was probably the very worst fight that I have had the entire story mode. Well, fortunately I get to remedy that a little bit right here going against Mileena, because if that was my worst fight in the previous fight, this one is definitely my best. After all, I took the very first round flawlessly without taking a single hit, and the second round goes pretty damn well too.
Tarkat makes victims of us all.
Praise Argus.
Thank you. I am in your debt.
No, Your Majesty. There can be no debt between friends.
I am glad she is safe, and that our conflict has ended.
It is paused, not ended. Li Mei has earned my goodwill. Whether you do remains to be seen.
I seek only peace, Your Majesty.
Is that why you send minions on secret missions into my empire? You've proved yourself the enemy I was long warned you would be.
I understand your anger, but I had reason to believe that Shang Tsung posed a threat to both of us. Until I confirmed them, I did not want to burden you with my suspicions.
And now?
They have proven true. Shang Tsung, Quan Chi, the General. They conspire to conquer our realms.
A serious charge. Where is your proof?
At Shang Tsung's laboratory. If what you see there does not convince you, I will surrender Earthrealm without a fight.
How could I have so misjudged them? For Shang Tsung to indulge in such depravity, for generalshao to condone it, they are not the men I thought them.
Despite my best efforts, neither man nor Quan Chi are who they were meant to be.
They're not your responsibility. They're outworlders.
But it is I who crafted their destinies, along with those of all other beings, at the dawn of history.
You created the realms. Is your mind addled, demigod?
I am a mere demigod now. But eons ago, I was more powerful than all of the Elder Gods combined. I was a Titan, and the Keeper of Time. This is Geras.
Your Majesty, Your Highnesses.
Geras is the guardian of the Hourglass, a celestial object which lies beyond the realms. The Hourglass regulates time and destiny. When I wielded its power, it was upon me to craft all of existence, which I did when I restarted history.
Restarted?
This timeline was preceded by billions more. Though this is the first of Liu Kang's design. The others were designed by his predecessor. Kronika was obsessed with equalizing good and evil. When a timeline veered too far to one or the other, she would halt it and restart history, tinkering with lives and events in the hope of achieving her golden balance.
Prior timelines, Kronika gave Shang Tsung and Quan Chi mastery of the most vile magics. Shao was not a general, a tyrannical ruler bent on conquest. You, Sindel, were his ruthless wife, who would do anything to preserve your privilege. When I took the Hourglass from Kronika, I vowed to do better. So in this timeline, the sorcerers would not gain their dark powers. Shao would be your loyal follower, and you would rule Outworld firmly, but fairly.
But someone has interfered with Liu Kang's design. Shao, Shang Tsung, Quan Chi, all have been groomed by an unknown entity to be the villains they were in previous timelines.
Where to begin? Am I to kneel to my creator? Do you expect worship?
No, Your Majesty. My prior role was thrust upon me by circumstance. I am in no way divine.
You had power over all of creation, yet you gave it up.
Because I saw how it drove Kronika mad. I knew I would fare no better had I kept it.
You. How dare you conspire against Outworld?
Not against Outworld, but against your misguided rule. Your deference to him leaves us all vassals.
So you sanction these unspeakable horrors? Lie to me about the threats we face? Thanks to you, Earthrealm blood is already on my hands. Bloodshed, without cause or provocation.
Don't move.
Empress, everyone, stay back.
What is it?
The Amulet of Shinnok, a weapon of terrifying power.
It should not exist. Its maker is powerless, as Liu Kang designed.
Yet more proof of foreign interference.
Enough prattle. You'll both bend a knee to Outworld's new emperor.
Put down the amulet. Its evil is beyond your control.
Do you think I do battle not trained with my weapons? I am more than prepared.
So General Shao casts his lot with Outworld's enemies against me. He's a fool to ally with you blood-sucking fiends.
Alright, and if you thought I kind of struggled a little bit with Li Mei in some of those fights in the previous chapter, well, guess what? Now I'm using a character I know even less than her. Yeah, I have not played Sindel basically at all since the last time I played the story mode, and I have practiced with Sindel even less than Li Mei in preparation for this chapter. So we will see how that goes. But yeah, our first opponent is going to be Nitara. And honestly, I just really don't have much to say about Nitara. We are getting towards the end of the game, so I want to kind of talk about our opponents, because I haven't done that too much up to this point. And I would like to cover how their current versions compare to their old versions, but there's just not really much to say about Nitara in this game. I don't really think she does anything meaningful whatsoever for the story other than lose to some good guys and make them look good, which is one of my least favorite things you can do for a character. It just makes them feel very insignificant and you can't take them seriously. Hopefully they decide to do a little bit more with her whenever the DLC story mode extension comes into play, but yeah, definitely did not happen here. In fact, by the end of this chapter, Nitara will be tied for the most losses in the game. Now, will she end up taking the crown in the end for the person who got the most losses in the game? We will see.
You're no better than Shang Tsung's monstrosities.
Tanya and your daughters, they are not dead, but trapped in the amulet. We can still save them.
Surprised that you are party to Shao's treason. Know that it will cost you your life.
I owe him mine many times over. Sacrificing it in his service would be an honor. Action!
And next up we have Reiko, which, similar to Nitara, really doesn't do anything too meaningful for the story mode, but still does a little bit more than her in my opinion. At least he was actively involved with the royalty at some point throughout the story, so he has kind of at least got a betrayal arc going on that makes him, you know, somewhat important. You feel something there, even if it's not much. Now, Reiko, when compared to his former self in the old, I guess original timeline at this point, well, Reiko was kind of a joke in the few games he was in back in the day. I'm pretty sure the only ones he was in, or at least playable in, was Mortal Kombat 4 and Mortal Kombat Armageddon, and they don't really elaborate on his story whatsoever. He was just a character who was continuously walking in the shadow of Shao Kahn. Granted, he's still kind of doing that here, but at least they explain why. I mean, at least saying that Reiko's childhood was living in captivity in wartime is, you know, at least significant. You kind of understand what his upbringing was like and why he would have loyalty to Shao Kahn, or generalshao in this timeline. Seeing him as somebody he owes his life to for having saved him. I mean, it's a hell of a lot better than what I think was just him being envious of the ruler in the old timeline. So yeah, this is better, although they still could have done a lot more. But similar to Nitara, maybe they will do more with him whenever the story is expanded upon in the DLC.
Your rebellion is doomed. Your betrayal hurts most, Rain. I thought of you as a son.
I've outgrown you, Empress. Shang Tsung's taught me that I've scratched just the surface of my power. To explore it, I can't be bound by your limits.
Action!
Now, stop me if you have heard this one before. Rain is a character I don't feel like really does much of anything in the story mode, other than lose and make the good guys look good. Now, even more so than Nitara and Reiko, I find this the most disappointing of those three with Rain. Because unlike Reiko, Rain actually implied that he was actually close to the royal family at one point, kind of like family. Reiko, pretty much from the moment he was introduced, is like, yep, that guy is going to betray the fuck out of you. Rain, on the other hand, kind of had that air of mystery about him where you didn't really know what his intentions fully were. And I was really hoping that there was going to be some big reveal about that. But no, that never really comes to fruition, and I think this might be the last time we fight him in this game and he does not get his own chapter. So yeah, similar to Nitara and Reiko, not much there. And I could be wrong, but I think Rain in this timeline takes a bit of a demotion compared to his character in the previous timelines. Now, in the previous timelines, he was a demigod. Now, in this story mode, you hear Argus get referenced a few times, and he is a god for either Outworld or Adenia, and Rain was supposed to be his half-mortal son in the old timelines. Here, I think he is just straight up a mage, no demigod status. And if that is the case, since they went out of their way to kind of change up his story, you would have figured there'd be kind of a reason or some expanding upon his character, but no, not really. But like I said before, maybe they will fix that whenever the story is expanded upon in the DLC, whenever that happens. I won't comment on this too much since I have no idea if they're actually going to do anything with it, but in the case of both Rain and Reiko, their arcade endings had some pretty significant events tied to them. They could both be major characters whenever the story is expanded on.
You are forever dead to me.
Your reign is over, Sindel.
I remember the weak, sickly boy you were. How your father fought to push you past your infirmities. Now you repay him by spitting on his ideals? Your revolt shreds every value he held dear.
Action!
And we have generalshao versus Sindel, which I think is the first canonical time this has ever happened. Now, the story between these two is kind of all over the place in the original timeline, but then when things got rebooted the first time, in Mortal Kombat 9, Sindel was compliant to Shao Kahn due to some brainwashing magic, so they were allies there through manipulation. Then in Mortal Kombat 11, they completely did away with that whole brainwashing comment and said, you know what? No, Sindel was compliant the entire time because she loves Shao Kahn. And now here they're actually enemies because, well, their stories are completely different. And Sindel is the one in charge, and she is just over General Shao's shit. So yeah, even in the 3 most recent games that include both these characters, their history is kind of weird and all over the place. Still, it kind of feels like these two should have been at odds with each other at some point before. But yeah, as it stands, I believe this is the first time where the roles were in reverse, where Sindel was ruling and Shao Kahn was the one following. At least until this little mutiny happened, which has not worked out very well for General Shao, considering after this fight he is going to be tied for the most losses in the story mode with Nitara of all people.
You are relieved, General.
The amulet, Your Majesty. I hate to disrupt, but we must act quickly to save Earthrealm.
Is that the command of my creator?
No, Your Majesty. It is the request of a friend.
All right, and that's where we're going to wrap up this episode, considering this chapter ends and transitions very quickly. So what happened in this episode? Well, we found out that whoever was manipulating the villains of this new timeline is someone from a completely separate timeline. After that, Liu Kang went ahead and traveled outworld and convinced Li Mei, with not a whole lot of resistance, that the Empress was being manipulated and he should be trusted over the other people within the court of Outworld. Fortunately, for some reason, she was really compliant with that idea, and then fought through a bunch of her own people in order to get Liu Kang in front of Sindel, and then they talked it out a little bit. After that little opportunity to talk, Liu Kang convinced Sindel to give him a chance, and then he showed her all the crazy shit that Shang Tsung has been up to in his little shop of horrors underneath his laboratory. So yeah, seeing that he was up to some pretty crazy, nefarious things that were probably going to be used as weapons in the future, she realized, oh crap, maybe I should have actually vetted this guy out a little bit better. And as she was considering that, Liu Kang did the big bombshell drop that, yes, he was once the Titan of Time after Kronika died, and that he manipulated all the events so that all the people in this current timeline are the way that they are, with the exception, of course, of Shao Kahn, well, General Shao, Shang Tsung, and Quan Chi. So yeah, that added context lets Sindel know that Liu Kang really wasn't in the mood for lying to her about anything, because why would he when he created everything to be exactly the way that it was for the most part? And then further confirming that she was trusting the wrong people, General Shao kicked down the door with Shinnok's amulet, threatening everybody and then imprisoning her daughters within the amulet. That's a lot of convenience to make her realize that, oh man, I've been allying with the bad guys. Just imagine if this had gone down differently. Like, that's a whole bunch of events all at once, letting her know that she was wrong. What if it was just maybe one of those and then there was still a little bit of doubt and this got dragged out for a lot longer? And then eventually General Shao, Quan Chi, and Shang Tsung just said, screw it, we're going to go ahead and start the attack anyway. Like, had all this not just fallen into place perfectly conveniently, this could have been a lot worse. Anyway, enough about that tangent. Liu Kang, Sindel, and Li Mei fought their way through General Shao's forces, retrieved the amulet, and then freed her daughters. After capturing the coup of the Outworld forces, all that is left now is to go confront the remaining threat, confronting Shang Tsung and Quan Chi at the fortress in Earthrealm where the Soul Stealers are and where the Enchanted Army is waiting. That's where we're going to pick up in the very next episode, where they go ahead and team up with the Outworld forces and then storm the fortress. And we're going to be doing that from the new chapter character's perspective. That new chapter character That's going to be Mileena, getting her first chapter ever in a story mode. Until then, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, feel free to check out the rest of this playthrough or other playthroughs of other story modes on my channel, Thor's Entertainment. I also have a bunch of online gameplay for Mortal Kombat 1 if that interests you. But yeah, that's going to be it for me. Take care, and I'll see you next time.